welcome to Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching the show. I'm glad you tuned in. We have, I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine, Chip Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, Big Mike Butera, and we usually bring up what's on our mind. We're going to stick with that program tonight. So, Big Mike, what's on your mind?
Tough one. Get your hankies ready. I guess I'm coming clean at tonight's show like a celebrity, and when he gets in trouble, like a politician, he evades taxes, the PEDs from the PED guy, the what do you call it, the athlete. I've since I've been on the show, I've professed to be a baseball fan, and I'm here tonight to tell you I'm not. This was brought to my attention earlier this afternoon, about 4 o'clock, by a friend of mine. He asked me, he catches a show every now and then. And he
Who
says,
is that?
A friend of mine. His name is Ryan. We call him Hudgy. Those of us who love him, me. He said, "What are you going to be tonight with what's on your mind?" And I says, "Man, I'll tell you what. Every Sunday, Monday afternoon, and evening, I try to go through stuff that I find to be interesting to me, that I might share with you in any sort of a segment during the course of the evening, and or when I have this what's on my mind jazz." Well, he says, well, how about talking about the World Baseball Classic? And I said, "What about it?" He says, "Well, aren't you excited about it? Aren't you going to watch it?" And both answers were no. And he says, "Why?" And I was stumped. I said, I don't know why. I profess to be a baseball fan, but I'm not interested in the World Baseball Classic. And then I started to think about why I'm not interested in it. Well, a couple reasons. Number one is I'm as USA as any one of these guys sitting at the table that's interested in my conversation machine. I wear the flag on my sleeve, on my heart, the whole 9 yards. Okay, so why aren't I into the USA baseball team? Because if we don't advance, if we don't win, that's a disappointment, because you automatically think the USA is going to win. Well, it hasn't happened yet. Well, how about my Italian nationality? I'm second generation Italian, and I do have my Italian World Baseball Classic hat. But if I go to the roster, basically one of the reasons why I think I'm not interested is, I might recognize all the guys on the USA team, but if I go to the Italian team, there's Mike Piazza, who's a coach, and there's Francisco Savelli, who's bailed because of the PED allegations, and then there's I forget who the other one is that I'd recognize, but that's basically why I'm not into the World Baseball Classic, and I don't know if you guys are. We can revisit this in a moment, and that's basically what's on my mind. However, there's one thing I find interesting today is that Russell Martin of Chip's Pittsburgh Pirates is going to play shortstop for the Canadian national team. That's something. Okay, guys.
Thanks, Big Mike.
Damn. What can I say?
You stayed on point beautifully tonight. I'm glad you studied up. Thank you.
I studied up. It happened at 4:30 this afternoon.
Sarcasm doesn't go over well on the set, folks. Keep watching the show. You'll hear more of it. I guarantee it. Now, Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. I'm sorry I'm late. I had to go to Alabama real quick to cancel my Carnival cruise. I interviewed Terry Smith from Gateway recently, and congratulations. He's now the wide receivers coach at Temple University, and I know that he would not want me to reveal his salary, $150,000 a year. So congratulations to Terry Smith. And is it Black History Month still?
Yes, it is.
Black
all month.
History Month. All February. Saturday, I'm going to do the TV broadcast of the City League High School Basketball Championships. Couldn't be more excited about that game because Westinghouse Bulldogs, the boys, is in the game, and I'm predicting, I got to be non-biased being that I'm bringing the game, but I'm predicting that Westinghouse will beat Perry High School by 20 points. And don't forget that Westinghouse had two of the greatest basketball players to ever play in southwestern Pennsylvania. I think they're the top two players of all time. Number one was Maurice Stokes, greatest player in southwestern Pennsylvania history. And number two was Chuck Cooper. And why is that name ring a bell to everybody? Everybody knows Jackie Robinson in 1947, but Chuck Cooper in 1950 was the first black player drafted and played in the NBA, and both of them went to Westinghouse High School, and that's your Black History moment of the month.
Yes, and
Thanks.
a building named after him down on Fifth Avenue.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
We'll have to go visit
Three
that.
doors down.
We got to revisit there, because I'm sure you've been there, Chip, so we got to revisit there.
Drive by frequently. I've
That's a pre-revisit before the revisit, so
Hey,
we'll hold back.
don't say drive by when you talk about the Hill District.
seen it. That's well,
All right, we'll move on here with Chip Painter. What's on your mind?
Thank you, Alan. And Jim, great Pittsburgh sports moment, because that's a little known fact, but he was the Jackie Robinson of the NBA.
Yes,
so
sir.
good call on that.
Thank you.
What's on my mind? I've always taken to task people like Roger Goodell and the way he metes out his justice and everything like that. Well, the NCAA really has ended up looking as bad as it can look. I mean, even after all the missteps that were taken in the way that the Penn State fiasco was handled, they started an investigation into the University of Miami, and the investigators started because of some financier who was running a Ponzi scheme. In the process of him, coming clean, and he mentioned that he paid a number of the Miami University athletes, and this and that. So, in the NCAA's vigor to try to get to the bottom of what was going on at Miami University, and to preface this, the University of Miami admitted that there was wrongdoing on their part, and they took sanctions on their own to mitigate for the breaking of the rules that they had. So the NCAA decided that they were going to go and interview people and try to get information from them. But because the NCAA does not have the power of subpoena, you can say, no, I'm not going to answer any of your questions, and there's no legal recourse for you. So they had people that were part of this Ponzi scheme that would refuse to talk to the NCAA. So what the NCAA did is they backdoored these people. One of these guys was going into court on a bankruptcy hearing related to this. So the NCAA investigators went to the attorney that was going to depose him and gave him a list of 35 questions that they wanted them to ask him, because they weren't going to be able to get him in front of. It's a nice move. It's completely inappropriate. It's out of line. And basically, in their vigor to try to, take Miami University down, the NCAA broke the laws as badly as Miami did. So now the NCAA, in its infinite justice, says, okay, well, the information that we got off that, we're going to discard that, but still the other information that we got legally, we're still going to proceed with the investigation against Miami. Let me tell Mark Emmert something. You're a moron. What you need to do is admit your guilt, admit you were wrong, tell them, you know what, Miami University, they did break some rules, but you know what, we can't do anything about them because we screwed up. And everybody should know that, the police need to be policed as well. And, unfortunately, Miami broke the rules, but you know what? The people that were trying to enforce the rules broke them just as badly. So, you know what? Call it a wash. Walk away from it. No sanctions against Miami. No sanctions against the NCAA. And they'll learn how to get it right with what they're doing. That's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Chip. We may have to revisit that. I'm ready to revisit it right now because, like I had said before, the guy in charge of the NCAA at his own campus, because of sports, he hid rapes. There were rapes there, and suicides and everything else.
Wow.
And then, on top of it, they let Penn State have the free report. And I'm obsessed with the free report because Louis Freeh is actually as guilty as any criminal that he put away.
And
So
the moral
we're revisiting before we revisit.
But the moral to the whole story, people in glass houses shouldn't throw rocks.
Hello.
So he should just resign and get out of there and start with a clean slate with the NCAA.
I mean, he's tainted as far as I'm concerned. I would question every investigation that he started from this point forward.
Excellent. Well, before I get to what's on my mind, there's a Night in Blue. I need my Chip here to help out there if you can get that, Joe. Joe's one of the best cameramen.
Yeah, wait, I don't want to
He
get
does.
Al's face.
You don't have to put it in front of my face.
Well,
I'll
yeah,
just read it. I'll just read it. That's folks. This is live TV. When you see it on YouTube, we did this live. So
And we're clowns.
right, and this is the Western Pennsylvania Police Benevolent Foundation. They're going to announce their second annual Policeman's Ball. It's for a great cause. A Night in Blue, Saturday, March 16th, 6 p.m. South Hills Country Club. 6 o'clock cocktails, 7:35 or 7:15 dinner, 8:30 entertainment. The attire is black tie optional. There's a whole list of things. There's an open bar, premium auction items, dancing entertainment by Jimbo and the Soup Bones. I've heard they're a great group. This is in recognition of all the officers and families who have suffered a death in the family with fallen brothers. Tickets can be purchased through Eventbrite, WPPBF board members, and South Hills Country Club. So we'll be talking about this over the next couple weeks, folks. Go out there. It's a great cause. Tickets for a single person, $80, $150 for a couple. And this is all to help the families who don't have the benefits to pay for helping the children, the other people in the families that are suffering too. And then on a lighter note, there's a Steelers Star in Action, Steeler footballers basketball team, and it's the police. You can get tickets, $7 tickets at Evie's, Eaton Park on 88, and the BP Police Records Room. And this is a game where you have the Steeler footballers basketball team. It's on Friday, March 8th, and you're going to have two guys from the show, Smokin' Jim Frazier, who's one of the best in this type of venue. He's going to let me tag along to maybe do some interviews and talk to some folks, and you guys know I can talk a little bit. So that's what's on our agenda there for the month of March. Not only will there be basketball madness, but we'll be out there too. And now what's on my mind is you got the first time ever, you guys, I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a sport called the Daytona 500.
Yes, sir.
Danica Patrick has the pole position. First time in history that's happened. Oh, these are athletes out here, Chipper. Come on now. You look like...
Okay.
That's one thing that's on my mind. Figured I'd bring that up because I peruse a lot of the sports out there, Big Mike. And another thing is Rocco Mediate. He turned 50 years old, and he won in the senior tour. His first time out, he wins the event. So congratulations to our local guy, Rocco. Job well done. Now we're all itching to go to our revisit what's on our minds from Big Mike. Big Mike, I don't care about the World Baseball Classic. I really don't. I'm a baseball fan. I'm a disgruntled Pirate fan, but I still love baseball and I watch baseball. You're a baseball fan even if you don't watch that World Baseball Classic.
Then I don't owe anybody any apologies.
I think
I
you
felt
have
bad.
to have a retraction there. I don't care about, what's his name, Huggy or?
Haji.
Haji. Haji, if you're listening, now I know you're a new viewer of the show. We welcome you aboard.
No, when he asked me why, and it stopped me dead in my tracks, and I started to think about it. I said, geez, how can I be a true blue baseball fan if in fact I can't watch something like that? But however, I do recall when I was a kid back in the 50s and 60s that on weekends, I guess it was just maybe a Saturday and or Sunday, there was Caribbean baseball broadcast live to the United States in black and white, and I watched it every year. And it wasn't so much that there was a a Major League Baseball player on any of the teams. It was just pure Caribbean baseball, and I got my kicks during the off season by watching that. I don't need to watch the World Baseball Classic now because we're in
Take
spring
back that
training.
apology. That was embarrassing hearing you apologize for something.
Well, then
don't
I
have to
apologize for
apologize.
apologizing. But
Thank you. We'll move on with revisiting.
We're revisiting. Oh, and for the Policeman's Benevolent Ball, telling you right now, Jimbo and the Soup Bones, worthwhile entertainment if you get a chance.
There's the
You will-
endorsement there.
You will
March 16th,
enjoy them.
folks.
I have seen them before live, and they're a lot of fun.
What type of music?
Just about anything that you can imagine, and they do a lot of original songs, and you'll laugh a little bit at some of the lyrics.
Well, there you go. Hey, Smoking Jim, I have a statement there. Congratulations on announcing the championship game.
Oh,
I
thank
do
you,
have a
sir.
fond memory of that one game that I told you I was at the championship game with Fifth and Shenley back
Yeah.
in the late 60s.
Yeah.
So will that be broadcast anywhere that we can pick up Smoking Jim Frazier and his insights?
It sure will. We got the whole television station of Channel 21. It's going there. We'll have
So
three
PCTV, you'll have cameras?
PCTV 21, and it'll be shown. It'll be aired the following Saturday, and it'll be shown at least 4 times.
Where's the game going to be played this year?
Well, it's City League. So
Neutral site?
Well, yeah, City
Any
League.
fans allowed to be there?
Well, it's City League, so we won't know.
Because I remember when no fans were allowed.
Yeah. So, and unfortunately for the City League, the WPIL plays at the Palumbo Center. And the City League used to play at the Pitt Field House, and they used to play over at the Mellon Arena or the Civic Arena. But now it's at a city school, and we won't know till after tonight. The girls play their semifinal championships tonight. So it can't. The game can't be at one of the schools
Who wins?
that the boys or girls have, because the boys and girls games are the same day. And so the favorite team to go was Obama, with the best player in the city is Darrell Porter's son. You remember Darrell Porter from
Yes.
Pitt. His son is the best player in the city. And Obama got upset by Perry yesterday in overtime, and Darrell Porter's son missed the layup in overtime to win the game. But the so now I'm hoping that the game is at Obama, and Obama was formerly known as Peabody for 200 years.
Sure was.
So they closed Peabody for a year and then reopened it as Obama. But Obama girls are playing.
That might be the
the
winner.
score. Obama's girls are playing Alderdice tonight. And Alderdice is absolutely the worst place you want to have a city to do TV for a basketball game, because there's absolutely no place, but Peabody's the best place to play. So if Alderdice upsets Obama tonight in the girls' game, the game will be Saturday at Obama. And right now, Alderdice is winning so far. So
I
keep
knew
your
we'd
fingers
get an
crossed.
update.
It'll be an upset. But if Obama's girls beat Alderdice like they're favorite to do, then it'll be at Alderdice.
There you go.
So let's hope for it to be at Obama.
For your sake, I will do that,
For our
Jim.
sake, yeah.
And I was just out in that neighborhood meeting a good friend of mine.
Really?
I passed Obama High School the other day. I was meeting with a good friend of yours and mine, Ed Gainey.
He's the man.
And a shout out to him. He won a very hard fought election in the 27th district there.
Wow.
And his office is probably about a block away from the school there. So Ed he told me to say hello to you, Smoking Jim. So, and there's another update, folks. This table's vibrating right off of here. On that, I'm going to move forward there. We want to thank Sips Sports Bar. It's located, there's numerous addresses, but the one that I see is 3024 West Liberty Avenue. Now, they said
Simplify it for people. It's at the corner of West Liberty Avenue and Kelton. Right there on the corner, bam. Don't worry about the numbers.
And here's how simple it is, folks. When you're going by, you see CIPS, SIPS. It's not Chip. We had people thinking it was Chip's place. It's not Chip's place.
No.
Although we do go there, we appreciate the food, great food, great drinks.
Great atmosphere, everything.
The service is fantastic. The owners are great. Come on down. Monday night, there's not much happening here up and down. Just watch sports there. We do. We talk sports. You're welcome there. We'll have some great guests. We had 2 great guests there last night. We had a nice show there. A lot of sports talk. If you like any of this or you even want to ask a question, come down to the show. We may even let you on and make you a star for 5 minutes. You're more than welcome. You too, Big Mike. You can come out on a Monday night. Well, maybe not. The wife won't let you out. You're retired, so we'll leave that go for another day. Now, one of my favorite parts is Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. That's you, Smoking
Oh,
Jim.
okay. Well, thanks, Al. I appreciate that. Nifty 50. Wow, we got to go back to 19 85. Michael Jordan, how did he become 50 years old? In 1985, Michael Jordan was being sponsored by Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola brought Michael Jordan here to the city of Pittsburgh, and I happened to be a chaperone for a weekend for Michael Jordan. He wore a all black with red stripes, sort of like this jacket, Adidas outfit. He was sponsored by Adidas as well. Took Michael Jordan to the Holiday House in Monroeville.
Wow.
Holiday House in Monroeville.
Yes, I've been there many times.
And Michael Jordan was, I tell you what, he could have been invisible. Nobody really knew him. He went around. We went to the comedy club. We went to the supper club. We met Barry Bonds out there, and Louis Lips joined us out there. Barry Bonds talked our ears off, and he was just a young cub then. And I tell you what, I couldn't understand why the media says that he was a poor interview, because we couldn't get him to shut up. But here is the fact. That night, the biggest celebrities in the house were not Michael Jordan, not Louis Lips, not Barry Bonds. The biggest celebrities in the house was Jerome Lane and Charles Smith. They couldn't move around at the nightclub without a crowd around them. So, little fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac, 85, Michael Jordan was in the house.
Thanks,
Nicely
Smoking
done.
Jim.
That
I
was nice.
appreciate that one.
Sweet.
Bringing out some good memories. All right, now we go to another one. This guy always talks about, this is useless trivia. It is not. We got people that like it, like myself.
My head's a fountain of useless information. So.
Well, here, let me give the tip off here to you, and then you can carry it. Chips trivia time, folks. Pay attention.
Okay. Now, we're all Pittsburgh Pirate fans in this city, right? Okay, I got a simple little trivia question to ask everybody. What two former Pirates are going to be the highest paid outfielders for the New York Mets this year?
Wow.
Oh, boy.
I don't know.
Okay.
You stumped us.
Jason Bay would be one.
Whoa.
The other one is Bobby Bonilla.
Oh, still.
He hasn't
$1 million.
played baseball in 13 years. He's not playing. They're still paying him. So the Mets have proven my point once again, that if you get an athlete, overpay him, lock him up for 20 years, and your franchise can pay for it. That's my first useless bit of information. On another note, I do have some statistics to back this up, some trivia facts, but a very notable sports person in the United States, I'd say probably one of the second most recognized sports owners, passed away yesterday. Dr. Jerry Buss, the owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, and may he rest in peace. I think the only other sports team owner in the United States that has more notoriety than him was George Steinbrenner. Okay. Now, one thing that George Steinbrenner and Jerry Buss did was they had built, the two greatest teams in their sports history. Now, if you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, Jerry Buss bought the team in 1979. Okay, wow. So as owner of the Lakers, he owned that team for 34 years. 31 of those years, he went to the playoffs. He made 16. These teams made 16 trips to the finals and won 10 championships. They won 18 division titles. Their winning percentage for 34 years was .659.
Wow.
And out of those 34 years, he had 6 NBA MVPs. That just goes to show you that an owner that is committed to, creating, a legacy,
a winning atmosphere.
I'm telling you, a lot of people can learn a lot of things. These guys spent a lot of money, but nothing was bigger in the '80s than Showtime in the NBA. Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, Michael Cooper, et al. Yeah. And he kept it rolling through. And he had the foresight to snatch Kobe Bryant up when he was an 18-year-old, and Kobe Bryant arguably could be the second greatest player in NBA history. Mm-hmm. There's going to be people that will always argue that. Some people say that Michael Jordan always will be the best, and then there's the school of thought where people seem to think that Wilt Chamberlain is. So, I think they're all valid arguments, and that's not what I was here for. But the statistics about
that's
Jerry
trivia,
Buss,
Chip. You're giving more trivia.
The the statistics that is a great answer to. I mean, I don't think anybody in basketball is ever going to accomplish that again. But you tip our hat to them, and our condolences go out to the Buss family.
Very good. Excellent there, Chip.
Here's a bit of trivia for you.
Go ahead, Big Mike.
27, 28, 29 minutes ago, I'm sitting in the lobby, asked Chipper if you watched the NBA game All-Star game last night, because I was told there was one. He says, I don't follow the NBA, and he just did a segment on interesting
Well, you know
stuff.
what, Big
It's
Mike,
trivia.
as a general rule,
Nevertheless.
I won't follow the NBA, but this is something that just transcends the NBA itself. It's more of a sports-related thing nationwide because, I mean, the Los Angeles Lakers are the New York Yankees of the NBA, I mean, there's the Lakers and then there's everybody else.
But you named names. That was good stuff, man. That was good stuff.
He doesn't hold back here.
That's
Not
why
at
it's
all.
Chip's Bar and
I know,
corner of Kelton and West
I know a
Liberty.
little bit about a lot, but
Sips.
not a lot about anything.
Oh, it's Chips.
Now, when Smoking Jim's done with his updates, folks, we're going
I'm
to talk
ready.
a
I'm
little
ready.
boxing, buddy.
I'm ready.
How's boxing?
Well-
What's happening in the boxing scene? You want to mention who we talked to last night?
Well, I'll back up to that. What's happening in boxing starting March 2nd? You can catch Al Levine, the Talking Machine, and myself starting to do the Golden Glove boxing. Golden Gloves is starting. It's live and well. I'm all for the kids. I'm like Jimmy Savetic. I'm all for the kids because that's the foundation that's going to build the next professional boxing. I think that Pittsburgh is fastly becoming the mecca of boxing. It's not Las Vegas anymore. It's going to be right here in the city of Pittsburgh, and we're going to have a lot to do with that. Promoting boxing, but I tell you what, we got a heavyweight that I'm absolutely excited about. He was there a little sagging last night. He didn't mind sagging.
I don't want to
night.
mention how much he weighed, but there was a rumor 233 because he was eating a lot after the fight.
Wow. Well, he said he wasn't giving up meat. So them ribs, I ain't inviting him to my cookout. Take all my ribs. But hey, we had
Who is this masked man?
We had Fast Freddie Latham. Fast Freddie Latham. I tell you what, this is a guy. If you ever get a chance to go out and see him fight, now the key words here in boxing is if you're a local guy and you fight primarily in your hometown, you're going to pretty much get the decision. So when they invite you to go fight in another state in somebody else's hometown, it's because you're an opponent. You're not supposed to win. He went out to Indianapolis, and they took one look at him, and the guy that he was supposed to fight says, I got the flu. So they put him in there, and this is unheralded. This is probably would not have been a sanctioned fight in Pennsylvania because you can't have a guy with one professional fight somebody with over 42 pro fights. But he went in there. He was a little nervous. His tummy was he got a little butterflies in there fighting a guy with that much experience. But within 2 rounds, he knocked this guy down 4 times. We seen the highlights of it. And I tell you what, Fast Freddie is 2-0 with 2 knockouts. His fighting weight is 220 pounds. He's about 6'2". And I tell you what, ever since he was a little kid, everybody came up and told me that this was the next Muhammad Ali. So get out and see Fast Freddie. He got a lot of support from the community. He got a great family backing him up. His sister is fine. Woo!
Hey.
I'm going to tell you something. Watching that fight last night, I tell you what, Freddie has got a wicked left jab, and I'm watching him snap this guy's head back repeatedly with a left jab. And I mean, it kind of took me back to an ex-heavyweight champ that used to work off his left jab, Larry Holmes. He had a left jab that could knock people out. Yeah. And I'm telling you what, this is a guy that Freddie fought a guy that's, has 20 times the number of professional fights that Freddie's had. Now, Freddie's had, a very storied amateur career, but I mean,
56 amateur fights.
I'm going to tell you what, he was snapping this guy's head back, and I don't even know why he got up the second, third, and fourth time. He should have just stayed down to start with. But I'll tell you what, that jab, man, everything works off of that, and I'm telling you what, I don't want to get hit by it.
And I think his amateur career is a little misleading. He had 56 amateur fights, but how many fights did he have in the hood? Probably over 200.
Whoa, okay, there we get some more information there. Hey, another guy that won who we've had on the show is Rayco War Sanders. He knocked a guy out in 4 rounds. And you got to hear the interview with Fast Freddie describing that. And
He said it's one of the hardest right hands he's ever seen thrown.
right. So that was interesting too. And we're going to keep this boxing segment because boxing is growing and we have a lot of interest there. And
A lot of great young fighters. We had Sammy Vasquez Jr. We've had Lightning Rod Salka. We've had Fast Freddie Latham. Bunch of up and coming young guys that got something to prove, and I like it.
and
We had the Rainbow Coalition. Vasquez, Rod Salka.
I want to see the
Fred
who
Latham.
can the Mexican and who can the American. That's out to Sam Vasquez Sr., Jr. We'll get you back out here. Come to Sip Sports Bar on a Monday night. We'll get you there.
Oh, they'll
Rod's
find
been there, so
The only thing you won't be able to do is drive that Hummer in the bar.
and these guys that we're kidding about, they're all good guys. They're the military guys, so there's a lot of great interest there. The next little segment is Pitt basketball. It just happened by coincidence. There's so many TVs in Sip Sports Bar that I have to tell you, I was looking over and I saw a 16-point lead by Pitt. Then I looked over later because I was talking a little bit as the talking machine does, and they were down by about 4 or 6 points. And then they lose the game, and I think it ended up 51-42 if I'm not mistaken.
And I'm going to tell you what.
How do you go
probably-
from 16
that
up
was,
to
That was
down
one
by
of the
9?
most embarrassing games in Pitt's basketball history. It was really terrible, and even Jamie Dixon, sitting there hanging his head after the game, and he's like, even when they were up by 16 points, Notre Dame missed 18 of its first 19 shots, and Pitt should have been up 30-3 by that point instead of just 19-3.
Right.
Pitt was playing very, very poorly, and we got a little bit of hope with Pitt. They won like 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 9 games, and you're thinking, well, maybe this team's gelling. We're going to have something that's going to be worth looking at. Maybe they're going to make it a little noise in a tournament, and the way they fell flat on their face, unfortunately, they may win a couple of games in the Big East tournament. I don't expect them to go much further than that. And they make the NCAA tournament. I think it's going to be an early exit, and that's a shame because looked like the team. I mean, how do you go and improve week after week after week and then just lay an egg like they did last night?
That's what's nice about watching college basketball and young kids. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, but you know what? By the same token, when they play St. John's on Saturday, that could all change.
Well, I still say NCAA this year. I'm holding with my prediction. They'll be in there. How long they last, Smoking Jim has his opinion on Jamie Dixon and the Ben Howland era and what he's inherited. I still think he's a pretty good coach here.
We got our coach last night, but one thing that was encouraging, who is the tall white guy for Pitt?
Steve Adams.
Steve Adams.
I tell you what, he made a play. He reminds me of Alonzo Mourning. He got that same body type. He's taller than Alonzo Mourning. But he made a play last night to make me think, wow, if he was getting coached at all, Pitt would have an outstanding team.
You mean he's not getting coached?
You know what? He stole the ball. They passed the ball. He stole the ball, dribbled the length of the court past these brothers.
And then what did he do?
And then he did a finger roll for 2. And I'm thinking to myself, 80% of that offense should go through him.
Now, I'm going to tell you something about this Steve
Great
Adams.
point.
I mean, he at the beginning of the year, he was nowhere close to being the type of ball player he is. He has not spent a lot of time playing basketball. No. He picked up basketball late.
And he even lived on the
And
streets
so
for a while.
basically, you're looking at somebody that's, probably there's high school kids that have more game experience than he does. But, there's people talking like, oh, geez, he's going to be a lottery pick in this year's NBA draft. And I know, 7-footers, they're going to get you multi-million-dollar NBA contracts because, the fact that they're 7 foot and coordinated. But, you looked at the way he's improved. I think, it would be in his best interest to stay in college for another couple of years. Most importantly, to get your degree. But to get the seasoning he's going to need, because the only problem with him right now, if he were to go from Pitt to the NBA, he's going to get manhandled. He needs to put on some weight. I mean, the guys that he's going to be playing against, they're not going to be 7 foot, 200 pounds. They're going to be 7 foot, 280. Okay, and he's going to be playing with grown men that can toss him around like he's a toy.
Well, you need a degree for when you're 7 foot. Who's going to hire you? He can't work here. He's too tall. He can't fit through the door.
We'll teach him how to duck down. But I think Smoking Jim's trying to put out his school of basketball. Give Smoking Jim Frazier a call. That's all. Or you can call me on my number, or we have a phone number at the show.
Long time lost.
412-831.
3304.
Big Mike, I
Call
didn't know if
soon,
you
call late,
remembered.
call now. Absolutely.
Call right now. Don't wait.
Absolutely.
Call
Haji?
when you watch this on YouTube. 412-831.
3304.
You know,
Haji,
and
call
you know,
now.
we're speaking
Call
about
now.
the NCAA basketball. You know, you're looking at the top ranked teams in the country right now. Indiana's ranked number 1, and ranked number 2, and there's arguably should be number 1 is University of Miami. And I'm just wondering how all this nonsense with this investigation at the NCAA, if that may affect their ability to win the national title, because last year they weren't eligible for a bowl. They
Right.
weren't eligible to play in the ACC championship game. Those were their self-imposed sanctions on themselves. So, you know.
No, we'll have to see. Who knows? Or maybe they'll delay it through lawyers and everything else like they do, and they can win it all because we have a guy sitting on the panel.
Well, you know, but the NCAA can go back 30 years and take all your wins.
Well,
your
that's after you
trophies.
win them.
They can take your statue down. I mean, you name it.
How about the wall? How about the wall at Penn State? They can take the wall down to affect all the kids and guys that were on there before. How does that happen? They keep bum rapping Franco Harris. I love Franco for his loyalty and everything else. I give him credit there. There's a guy who was a father figure to him, and we all have fathers. I don't know any perfect people out here, so you need to heal on a little bit of that. But it's just amazing how the NCAA, that's the corrupt, organization out there in my mind.
Exactly.
They got to change that from the BCS and everything else out there,
No,
all right?
you know,
You're getting me
because-
on a tangent here.
Well, you know what I mean. If they're going to pretend like they're all high and mighty, then you know what? There better not be any skeletons in their closet. And you know, and apparently
There is.
we found the bones.
No, they still have flesh on them there, Chip.
You say there's some flesh still left.
Oh, yeah. When there's some meat on the bone, you know how that is. The vultures come in there, buddy, but that's another one. Hey, now we need some Penguin talk.
Penguin.
You know, we got these Penguins. They play a good game. They play a bad game. The fans are going crazy. They're not going to win another game. They're still doing very well out there.
Oh, they're doing very, very well, and we were talking about this last night. The Penguins are really starting to gel. They're starting to get their timing down with one another. Passes are starting to be a little bit more crisp. They're playing good defense. They're getting stellar play in the nets from Thomas Volkov and Marc-Andre Fleury. The defense is playing real well. You see the defense bringing the puck up, playing in the offensive zone.
And they keep the puck out of there. You got to get the puck out of there, too.
Paul
right,
Martin,
Big Mike?
Paul Martin was the man. Everybody last year said the Penguins had no business paying him $5 million. He got the game winner the other night in Buffalo. So, a lot of people are contributing, and the one thing that the Penguins, the one thing they're going to have to overcome. Everybody said at the beginning of the year, Philadelphia, because Philadelphia took us behind the woodshed last spring,
And they did.
And they said the Rangers were going to be the strongest team in the East. Do not count out the New Jersey Devils. I mean, the Devils took us apart pretty much 2 games in a row, identical scores. And, they flat out outskated the Penguins. And then since then, the Penguins have won 3 games in a row. And the thing I like most about what they've done for the last 2 wins is they've scored 2 goals in the third period of each of the last 2 games to put away the victories. Now, that's, to me, is a team that's starting to show that it's,
Now I hope with the momentum they build in that third period that they break that streak. The thing I worry about is their home play. When your home ice is supposed to be where you win. Right now, we don't even have a winning record at home.
Well, two things are waiting in the wings, no pun intended. Evgeny Malkin and the fact that the Penguins... Evgeny Malkin.
Evgeny.
Evgeny.
Gino.
I like the goalie. What's the goalie name?
Fleury.
A Russian is a Russian is a Russian. What's his name? Gino. Okay, he's going to turn it on. You know that. And so are the Penguins on home ice. So that's 2 things.
When?
Whenever.
You know what?
Do we need it now?
Yeah,
Come
but
on,
you know
Big.
what? I mean, you lose sight of the fact if you look at
Tomorrow.
what
Okay,
Evgeny
thanks.
Malkin is doing right now.
What's his name?
He's not putting the puck in the net a lot. He's getting a lot of assists. He's scoring in a lot of games.
Right.
You know, and you know what? The pucks are going to start going in the net because, you know, you're getting production from Sid Crosby, from James Neal. You know, you've got other people contributing, and that's going to, you know, that's going to
Kunitz.
free up.
How about Kunitz?
Chris Kunitz had a 4-goal game.
You get that name?
Not very good.
He's playing a heck of a game. He plays well. Big Mike.
Christmas, he's playing. Yeah, I'm telling you, Malkin
Chris
is.
Kunitz.
Yeah, all those
Okay.
guys. Malkin, whatever his first name is
Gino.
going to break out, man. And as a matter of fact, break out, forget about it, because he's already putting points on the board, which means he's giving up, not giving
Is
up
this
the
an
puck.
echo chamber?
Well, you know what? I mean, you know,
I can't
just
hear
said that.
about this thing.
We just said that.
we've all,
You got me worried about the guy's
everybody's
name.
anointing the Penguins the Stanley Cup champions, and we need not to lose sight of the fact that there are some teams in the NHL that are playing far better than the Penguins are right now. You got the Chicago Blackhawks, who have not lost a game in regulation this year. They're 12-0-3. Vancouver
I don't know
Canucks.
what teams you keep bringing up. There's an inside joke. You go from one to the other. That end of the table won't even keep a straight face, Jim. You're a comedian and don't know it. But no, as far as the winning records, you're correct. There's a few teams out there.
I'm all over the place, man. That's how I
Yeah,
live.
that's okay. I respect that because we're right there with you. Well, there's 2 seasons to hockey, as we all know. There's the first season. Now it's a short season, 48 games. Then there's the playoffs. And to me, it only counts in the playoffs because we've had the best team the last couple years, and we go home early. So I still predict they're not going home early.
They have the potential. They have the potential. There's no question about that. As long as they stop reading, you know, what's written in the paper about them and just go out and play hockey, work hard, they're going to do fine. It seems the Penguins are like every other Pittsburgh sports team. They get on a little bit of a roll. They get a little bit impressed with themselves, and look what happens. You know?
I call that playing to the level of the competition. When they play the great teams, they usually play great. When they play the teams that aren't so good, we get something like that.
Speaking of teams that have been notorious for doing that, you know, some decisions are going to need to be made for the Pittsburgh Steelers real soon here. You know, we're quite a few dollars over the salary cap, and I heard something on my way over here tonight that, you know, they're talking about the various teams in our division and what kind of a team the Steelers are going to have. You know, the Cincinnati Bengals have over $50-some million. They're under the cap this year. So they could go hog wild, and, you know,
Mike
they
Wallace.
had a couple of big-name free agents, you know, the Steelers could be looking up at the Bengals and the Ravens next year. You know, we've got some dissension going on with the team. Players are griping about one another, and I think one of the things that really upsets me is that somebody was, some coward that wore the black and gold, you know, called out one of his teammates for being out of shape. And, you know, if that needed to be done, it needed to be done. But you need to address things to a man's face to face. And if you're not going to put your name on a quote that's going to be put out in the paper, I think that's cowardly. And I think you should own up. If you're gonna say that, own it, okay? And tell her, you know. But we don't do that. But that's a sign of bigger problems in the Steelers locker room. And to me, that shows a sign of leadership. You know, and I hear Ryan Clark. You know, the first thing people do is they run to Ryan Clark, and I've never seen Ryan Clark ever turn down a microphone stuck in his face, and he loves to hear himself talk. He talks about leadership, but you know what? He needs to exhibit leadership, and I don't think he does. You know, there's some other veterans there that I'd like to see more of a demonstrative leadership role in. People like James Harrison, Troy Polamalu. You know, Ben's supposedly the leader of the offense. I'll tell you somebody else that I'd love to see step up is Heath Miller. Because is there anybody on that offensive receiving tandem last year that was a better player, hands down? I mean, come on. Our best receiver last year was Heath Miller. And if your best receiver is your tight end, they can usually catches half as many balls, then that's a sign of a big problem.
Well, especially in the Steeler offense, traditionally, if your tight end's in that position. But you're not going to get it from Heath. He shows it. He's a quiet type of guy. He does come up once in a while and defends other players during the game even, and says a few things. And to your point on Ben, there's a guy, has he been MVP of the Steelers? I mean, I think it's the other players. They know what the character that they're dealing with.
Yeah, but
and they understand that. And I think if he started yelling at the guys, you'd have more dissension. You have an 8-8 team here, and my theory is winning in Pittsburgh or any team, it cures a lot of these faults that they have. I was saying it last night, and I know that I said I wanted to carry this on a little tonight.
Well, and and to speak to your point, Alan, I mean, I don't think you just yell at people for the sake of yelling people, but you can put people in line, in a respectful manner. And as much as I hate to say this, and I know this is going to make the man to my left smile big, but you look what the inspirational leadership of Ray Lewis did for the Baltimore Ravens.
Did you say that
in December? And I hated saying it, but it's there. I mean, you can't to ignore it. You're just being foolish. But where was that emotional leadership for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Amen.
I did not see it.
You're preaching. Look at him. He got the white suit on. You're dressed in black and gold. There's no white suit
I
there.
bust Jim's chops all the time about Brother
No.
Ray, But I mean, you got to give the guy his credit. He did have that team fired up, and I don't think they win that world championship without him.
I agree.
Well, I think the emotional leader can only carry you so far. You got to play football, because I've seen teams that come out there and they want to win one for the Gipper, they want to win one for Bettis, and then they lose. I mean, when Bettis was supposed to win and Big Ben promised to win, they didn't win that game. And you couldn't have got more emotional than the Steelers, but they got outplayed.
Well, I tell you,
And then, I mean, there are times that it does happen.
Well, I tell you what. I mean, Chip's point couldn't have come more profoundly. That's a big word. I don't know if
Whoa.
I'm using it right.
Big Mike, is that the proper...
That's
That's
in
$1.50
context, that's correct.
But the three greatest leaders that I've seen in a long time was one, Jack Lambert. Jack Lambert was a tremendous leader. And to be a leader, one thing you have to forget about is being liked, because everybody's not going to like you. Jack Lambert said what needed to be said. He used to chew out Jack Ham, who never made a mistake.
Best linebacker ever lived.
Best linebacker, I agree. Never made a mistake.
I second that emotion.
Jack Ham never made a mistake until his final year. I seen him miss one tackle when he had that Achilles injury.
Sure.
After that, he retired. But now another guy who was an underrated leader that didn't get credit until after he retired was Greg Lloyd. Greg Lloyd was a tremendous... See, to be a leader, you got to be a leader in that locker room. It has to be somebody in there that when you say keep your mouth shut, they keep their mouth shut, or when you say show up, they show up. And that's what Greg Lloyd was. Now, if we all know Ray Lewis was a great leader, I really believe that the Baltimore Ravens are going to take a step back. Because even after the game, you guys probably didn't hear it. I was on the road.
No, I shut it off completely.
But there was
The TV
dissension
was
on the radio that you guys didn't see on TV. I had the radio feed on, and Terrell Suggs was mad because he wasn't up on the podium. He's being interviewed by the radio, and he says, why ain't I up there on the podium? They act like I ain't have nothing to do with this. He says, well, I guess I just got to win the Super Bowl on my own. So there's already going to be dissension. When you give Flacco $20 million, that's going to divide that locker room.
Yes, it is.
Ray Rice is not getting money. Flacco's getting money. Terrell Suggs is not getting money. And you don't have that leader in Ray Lewis that's coming in there and telling everybody to keep their mouth shut. So I look for the Ravens, who's an old team that lost 4 out of 5 down the stretch, to really come apart next year. And you are right, and I agree with you 100%, Chip, that Ray Lewis is the greatest football player of all time.
Oh, he didn't say the greatest football player of all time.
That put words in his mouth.
Oh, yeah. He didn't take that. Look, he's going to throw his own words out right at you. There they come.
To speak to my to Jim's point, you mentioned Greg Lloyd, he mentioned Jack Lambert, and he mentioned Greg Lloyd. These people kept it in the locker room, I mean, you know what? If you're going to be a leader of the team, that's what you do. You talk to your brothers in your own house. The reason why I say Ryan Clark is not that type of man, because he's running to get a sound bite.
I agree.
Okay, and he's going to try to talk about how he's all this and that and the other thing through the newspaper. And that's not how you communicate with people. So
Good point.
I think in football, when you spoke about Lambert, and forget the fact I don't know anything about football in this day and age, but did he, in fact, do what I think Lambert did, and that's what Lambert got his face into everybody's face, opponents, teammates, got it into the dirt. How about that guy that roughed up our kicker in the Super Bowl after he missed
Harris.
Charlie Waters. Charlie Waters. He got flattened by
Lambert. Yeah,
well, you know what? There was amazing thing. The most amazing thing about that is that Lambert didn't get ejected because
Or flagged.
the rest,
Did he get
that was an ejectable offense right there. But I mean, other members of that Steeler team that were leaders and the quiet, strong leadership you could never be denied about Joe Green.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Steelers franchise right now was built with Joe Green as the foundation block,
agree.
and there's no question.
Did Ray Lewis, during his career, you talk about his emotional stuff and all that jazz, did he in fact do that? Did he play football as hard as he talked? Did he walk the walk like he talked the talk?
I mean, it's out there on tape.
I'm asking you.
It's out there on tape. He did bring it every Sunday afternoon. He played his heart out, and you know what? He may have got beat by somebody, but I'm telling you what, he gave 100% of the plays. He never took a down off.
Well, nobody was like Lambert. Lambert was more like Bobby Knight. And that was his personality, Bobby Knight. I mean, and Lambert would fight. He wasn't even allowed. Here you got a white guy who's an icon around the world, wasn't allowed in none of the bars here in the city of Pittsburgh because he was fighting. He could only go to a bar in Oakmont. And,
no, you got tossed in there, too.
He's toughest guy.
Well, here, I'll give you a story on Jack Lambert.
Okay.
There was a place in Mount Lebanon called the Sunken Cork.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember.
it's across the street from the saloon. The saloon's still there.
The brothers never talked about going there.
Well, that's because most of them didn't.
We're talking about Mount Lebanon.
Okay, now, there were different, I won't name all the Steelers that would come down there, but you'd walk down the steps. It was a great establishment, nice place. And I happened to be there one night with a couple friends of mine. They may even remember this. I won't mention the names and drop names except Jack Lambert's. Well, he was with a girl, and these guys kept coming up to him. And to me, he looked like just a skinny guy, that he wasn't even strong in street clothes. So they kept pushing at him. Well, the owner of the bar come down and said, hey, just leave him alone. And Lambert was just growling a little bit. He was trying to be a gentleman there. And these guys are using all kind of foul language and everything. He didn't fight.
Wow.
He didn't fight that night at all.
Wow.
And he had true class. And these guys, there were 3 or 4 of them trying to gang up on him. They got escorted out of the place finally because they were so abusive. But he did not throw a punch. He did not fight.
Maybe that was a Lambert impersonator, like Big Ben had that impersonator going
there-
around with all them women.
There was no doubt because before this, I had had the pleasure of meeting him, and that was Jack Lambert, just the way he talks. And you know how he spoke.
You know,
so.
what happened with the Steelers in the 70s and their proclivity for a little bit of rowdiness and everything? You know, that can't happen anymore because in this day and age of mass media and everybody's got a phone that can take pictures and
Speaking
video.
of phones, yes.
And they're posting stuff on Facebook and YouTube and everything else. Now, anything anybody does, it's immediately available to the world within seconds of it happening.
And since
So
you
these
mentioned
things
that,
can't happen
Pittsburgh
anymore.
Sportsline has a fan page on Facebook. Go out there. This Chip Hayner, he's not a Facebook guy, but he's the best promoter. You can see our shows there. If you hit where the like button is, and it says likes now, so click on that button. I learned Facebook. You can learn it. We need some people hitting that like button up there because it's likes. We're at 70 likes as I come in tonight on the show. This is a week we've been up there. We have a lot of great sports fans out there. Matter of fact, we got Zach Bruner coming from Bruner Construction, and I do everything. He was security at the Rod Salka fight. He's going to be a guest.
Really?
Yes, he promised me he'll be a guest, and he'll talk sports and whatever we want to talk about on sports. So young Zach Bruner's going to be there, and he'll talk security, too, how he did the Rod Salka fight and other fights. So he'll be there. We'll have some other guests. Smoking Jim's told me there's going to be an artist in the house. A guy's not going to even go to play football in college. He's a great athlete. So we'll get some people out. I want to thank Robin Allen Clark for coming out, having a great interview. She has some great pictures. Robin, you got to put those pictures up on our Pittsburgh Sportsline site.
Okay, but before we get
We're
going,
not done yet. You just served up a volleyball. We still have some time, folks.
Yeah, here's what we got to touch on. We haven't mentioned anything about the Puckos this week, and the Pirates have extended Clint Hurdle's contract through the 2014 season with an option for 2015. I think it's a smart move. I think it adds a little bit of stability to the organization as far as, okay, where are we going to be next year? Now, I think pretty much it's a consensus among all of us, at least here, is that, yeah, Pirates really need to win this year. And, this is a make or break year for Clint Hurdle. But knowing that he's going to be here for another couple of years is going to be better for the players as well, because then they know that there's going to be stability here. They're not playing for a lame duck. And, the people are buying into his system. And, I'm glad to see him sign for another year. I think Clint Hurdle's the right man. And I know there are a lot of people that disagree with me on that, and that's fine. You're welcome to your opinions. As I am mine.
And I have selective disagreements with you on some of his coaching style. When the gut is correct, I'm with him. When the gut is incorrect, I'm not with them, folks. But, hey, if he brings a winner and they finally get that 82nd win here, I'll gladly pay you the dollar, Chip. And that's our Bucko talk for tonight. And I want to do our closing remarks because Big Mike always has something he wants to talk about, because we'll sit here for an hour after the show, and Mike's one of our leaders on that, Big Mike. What do you have as a closing remark here?
Oh, I got a
short one, because we're down to 3 minutes, buddy.
I got a quote, two quotes I got to read to you that I
We
thought
might
they were.
go with one tonight.
No, we go two. One's for Ralph Kiner. He said when he
that one.
was when he was the announcer for the Mets, he goes.
He was a home run hitter for the Pirates. Come on.
When he was the announcer for the Mets, he said all the Mets road wins against the Dodgers this year have occurred at Dodger Stadium.
Brilliant.
Okay, here's another one. This one's from Reggie Jackson
Is this
talking
supposed
about
to be funny?
Tom Seaver. No, I'm reading quotes. Blind people come to the ballpark just to listen to him pitch. Reggie Jackson talking about Tom Seaver. And for the finale, the White Sox announcer, former Darren Jackson, said, "This game's not rocket surgery." And there you have it.
And that was 3 quotes. You were one over the limit. We're going to go to Smoking Jim Frazier here on your closing remarks.
Well, I'll be real quick. This is what I wasn't going to talk about next week, but next week you guys triggered another fiction and fact from Smoking Jim.
Whoa, late breaking.
It's going to be something on Greg Lloyd. You got to be here to hear this. Greg Lloyd next week will be my fiction and fact, Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Excellent. We'll look forward to that one. And now we got Chip Hainer. We always have a couple closing remarks. Chip,
Yeah, well,
which one are you going to pick out is what I want to know.
The one I'm going to pick out is one we didn't touch on in the show. We got the high school basketball playoffs going off. I'm still sticking my neck out for the Newcastle team. Undefeated going into the playoffs. They're ranked number 5 in the state. An undefeated team is ranked number 5 in the state. And Jim kind of enlightened me a little bit about these teams that are ranked ahead of them. They're all city or school teams from around the Philadelphia area, and there's some pretty good, pretty accomplished ball players in the games that they have lost. They could have been, they travel, they play, various teams above and below their level, but keep an eye on the high school playoffs.
Excellent. We'll do that. And then my closing remarks are thanks to Joe, our cameraman. Devin's in the control room doing it all. That's how we can put the show on. Thanks to Dave Cable with all the graphics he's done. Now we have different graphics for each little segment we have here. He's done a great job there. We got the logo going. We also have good sports talk, sometimes great sports talk when we get these 2 experts in the middle of us talking. And I appreciate all of that. And I want to tell you again, if you haven't heard, Monday night, come on out. It's a great venue there. Big Mike, you're welcome to come out, give us a little insight. Great food, great drinks, great atmosphere. So many TV screens, you can't miss a sport that you want. Just pick one. They'll put it on there for you. We guarantee it. We're happy to be out there at SIPS. Thanks to Dave Cable again for doing all this. Thanks to you guys. Happy to be doing a show with you. Another good show here. We'll see you next week at SIPS, and we'll see you on Tuesday Night Live like we are each time. Don't forget, 412-831-3304, or hit the likes button on Pittsburgh Sports Line.